All right, you're tuning into Financial Fitness Northwest live on 1150 KKNW. We provide our listeners with information from businesses and professionals to bring solutions to your daily life and local charities to provide you with the opportunities to give back to your community as well. Now in studio, we have Gabriel Murfitt with Gabe's Foundation of Hope. In 1990, Gabe was born with a severe congenital birth defects. He hasn't let that stop him. Gabe has written a book and has regular speaking engagements to share his story and uplift and empower others. He has an incredible message of hope. Gabe has been featured on The Oprah Winfrey Show, Good Morning America, King 5 News, Como 4 News, and the Seattle Times. His most recent message is titled Nothing is Out of Reach, where he shares with his audience about reaching for your goals and never giving up. Oh my gosh, so excited to have you here, Gabe.
Yeah, welcome, Gabe.
Yeah. So can you just kind of start off, tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm 27. I live in Alaska, down by Centralia and Chehalis, so tiny little town. And I travel around and I speak to schools mainly, but also to churches and businesses, just about reaching for your goals and how important it is to set goals, and also how important it is to not give up. I've lived with a disability for my whole life, and it's been instilled in me to how important it is to just keep going no matter what, because I was created for a reason. I'm 3'4" for a reason, and if I'm giving up, then I'm not living out my purpose. I'm not doing the things that I'm called to do. So just talking a lot about not giving up, and it's especially to high schoolers. It's so important that they understand that message. So
I can't imagine how powerful that is.
Yeah,
I mean, kids that think they have problems, right?
Yeah.
And then they meet you and they realize, is it pretty insignificant probably?
Yeah, well, and it's just a lot of fun because of that. Kids that are in high school, they have a lot of issues to deal with, and I dealt with those same issues that were non-disability related.
Sure.
And you really do. You see how small they really are when it compares to some of the things that myself or other people in the disabled community go through. So,
yeah,
that's awesome. Well, so tell us a little bit about the name of your foundation.
Yeah, so Gabriel's Foundation of Hope. My mom and dad are the ones that actually founded it, and it was they are kind of trying to figure out what to name it, and they use my name, and HOPE actually is an acronym. It stands for Helping, Overcome, Persevere, and Encourage. And the foundation was just set up to basically do those four things for people in the disabled community, whether it's somebody that has a disability or their family members. Because, I think one of the biggest things, for me is my parents, just what they have to deal with, not only what I have to deal with, but what they do. And I have an older brother, and the same thing for him. So it's important that we come alongside families as well, so they can, see that there are people out there that are normal and can do this. And it's going to be hard, but you're going to be able to make it. So
that's so incredible. So I got to talk to your mom a lot and hear so many wonderful stories about you. So can you share with the listeners what happened that got you on the Oprah Winfrey Show, that whole story that took place, because it's just so amazing.
Yeah, so I was in 7th grade, and I wanted to play basketball on the regular team, and I came to my parents, and I was like, hey, this is what I want to do, and they were kind of like, you do know basketball's for tall people, right? And I said, well, I want to figure this out, and we went to the school, and they said that I could play, and my mom actually, she wrote to one of the local news stations, and she wanted to make it about the team and the coach and all that, and they decided to make it about me, and which we were okay with, and so I was on that show, and then I think Seattle Times, and then Good Morning America, and then I was throwing out the first pitch at the Mariners game.
Oh wow!
And the receptionist was like, "Oprah Winfrey is trying to get a hold of you," and we thought that was kind of a joke, and they're like, no, they're actually trying to get a hold of you. And and so we were on the show, and I got to meet my sports hero, Cal Ripken Jr. He was on that. He surprised me on the show. And so,
wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was one of those things that, I was 13.
Yeah.
Wow.
never in a day in my life ever would have imagined doing any of that stuff, because my parents always have taught me to, be just, I hate the word normal, but for lack of a better term, normal.
Mhm.
I look different, but I'm not this like special, person. I'm just like everybody else. And so,
Special
on-
like everybody else.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so just being on that show was a really cool experience, and I it's always fun to talk about, and hopefully maybe we'll get back on there again. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's a 10-year anniversary of your foundation.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Is anything coming up or big stuff to celebrate that?
yeah. So we're actually planning on having a fundraiser in November, right? And we're just it's going to showcase my speaking and to raise money for some of the things that we're trying to do with helping people financially. Some people that are needing money to do the things that they need to do, and that also the other side of our foundation is set up to kind of direct people down, I guess not direct people, but help them down the right path as far as where to get the certain resources that they need.
I was going to say it's probably could be like a full-time job, just navigating like different organizations and services that are available and figuring out what you have available to you, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things for us, it's such a new thing in your life. You don't know where to look for whatever services. And we were so grateful when people pointed us to that direction. So that's one of the things we want to do. Is show people, how did Gabe get his van? How did Gabe get his computer? How did Gabe, get the things that he needed? And people will ask us, and we'll direct them in the right direction. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
one of our goals.
That's awesome. I'm sure that's
Yeah.
such a huge benefit, and also just being in a difficult situation and the stress and wanting to do the right thing as much as you can for your family, and that's probably so helpful.
One of my favorite parts about our foundation is to write encourage. That's the E in hope, the encourage, and to write encouraging cards to families that are struggling. Or Children's Hospital will call Steve and I to come when a new baby's born that's got physical birth defects like Gabe, and we'll meet with the parents and the grandparents and encourage them along the way. And Gabe's part of every year they have a limb deficiency clinic, and all these kids with unique limbs come together and have a blast, and
Wow.
Gabe gets to participate in that. And so it's really for us a pay it forward thing, because we so benefited by people coming alongside of us, and that was our impetus for starting the foundation. Was, well, if these people came and helped us, then we want to help others.
Can you tell us a little bit about, because there's a story behind that, right? That people helped you
Yeah.
get Gabe's wheelchair.
When Gabe was 2, his doctor prescribed him an electric wheelchair, and insurance said, no, he's 2, he doesn't need that. And it was $18,000, and at the time, we didn't have $18,000, and I was at work. Actually, I worked for a mortgage software company, and the vice president of sales found me crying at my desk because I had just gotten off the phone with the insurance company. And she was like, what's going on? I said, well, they aren't going to pay for Gabe's chair. And she was like, not on my dime. They're not.
Wow.
So she started a trust fund for Gabe, and just put the word out to different people in the industry, friends, family. And within 2 months, we had enough money to buy Gabe's wheelchair and a van.
Wow.
And so we felt incredibly blessed that happened. And that we always said when that happened that we're going to pay this back somehow, because it's very humbling to take that kind of assistance. And Steve was able to actually get the insurance to pay part of it in the end, which was why we were able to buy the van. But it just has been such a blessing. And
Yeah, probably just came right at the right time too, right?
Yeah, and it did prove that getting Gabe in a wheelchair at age 2 made him be able to go out into the cul-de-sac and play. It made him be able to be at a height of another child, to be able to converse eye to eye. It gave him I mean, he gave kids rides on his wheelchair.
So
Got
he
in
was
trouble
like
for that
the
a couple times.
popular kid of the
Yeah,
cul-de-sac,
really.
it sounds
Yeah,
like.
exactly.
Yeah,
Fun to
it
be
was
the cool kid.
Yeah, it just made a huge difference in his life, and that just was, the reason we started the foundation.
So, what is the biggest need for your foundation right now?
I think the biggest need is funds. There's so many people out there that are, sending us applications for grants. I mean, I think my mom goes to the post office, and we have at least 4 or 5 every week. And there's people out there that are just need, things that they're going to helping improve their life, help them become more independent. And so I think that's the biggest thing is just donations to be able to so that we can help that. And then another big need is for kind of me personally and our foundation is my speaking, to really build that, because when schools pay me 40% of what I make goes back into the foundation, so that we can continue to help people with disabilities. So, I'd say getting into the schools and encouraging them, because that's the other thing about going into schools. It's not just about encouraging them, but it's also showing them that somebody different is completely capable of doing everything that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it helps the kids in their schools, the special ed kids that maybe aren't as involved in school. It really can kind of gets them involved, so they could say, hey, this kid's in a wheelchair, but he's capable of playing basketball on a regular team or different things like that. So.
Right.
Isn't there like an exercise? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Isn't there an exercise that you do at one of your speaking where you bring the kids down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you tell us that?
Yeah. So at the end of my speech, I talk about my high school experience and how I was never actually bullied throughout my whole entire school experience. But when I was in high school, I was ignored. I felt like I was walking around the halls and I was invisible. And so this idea of nothing is out of reach is just talking about, yes, reaching for your goals, but also reaching out into your school and your community and creating a community within your schools. One of the biggest things that schools deal with are cliques, groups that exclude people. And so what I try to do is I get the kids out on the floor and I kind of show that to them. I get them in just like 6 kids in 2 groups of 3, and I said this is what a clique looks like. A group that's excluding kids because they have blonde hair versus brown hair, or they're whatever. And then I have them come together as one group. And I say, this is what your school should look like. Whether you're white, brown, black, green, you're tall, short, whatever, you're all supposed to be here. And so then kind of the thing that I add to it is it's so funny. They always think this is the weirdest thing, but I always tell them to go back into the stands and grab one random person. Mm-hmm. So then they do that, and I ask them, I said, what's the difference with the circle? And well, it's bigger. And he said, yes. So then I go around the circle and I ask how many people the kids added. I'll point to the ones, and they said 1. I said, that's all it takes. All it takes is all you have to do is go out and reach one person, because that's the kind of impact you're going to have. It's just one person. Like the leadership kids in their schools, a lot of times they think, I got to reach the 2,000 kids in my school. That's a lot of kids to do, to reach in 180 days, to actually, give them a compliment or a personal touch. But if the kids can focus on every day just going around and seeing one person, and it's not even kids, it's, adults,
right?
Just going around and, just saying hi to somebody, shaking their hand, giving them a compliment. Because I had that happen to me a few times in high school, and I would go home and tell my parents, oh, somebody saw me today. Somebody said something to me, and it was, something that it's important that the kids just go out and reach out and create community. So.
Wow, you're teaching them such good life lessons and just like character building.
Well, yeah, and like you said, kids, anybody. It's like you don't realize. Yes. People don't realize what the little thing can make such a big difference in someone's life. Just smiling at somebody, saying hello to somebody. You have no idea what their day's like. You don't know what effect you're going to have. And so it's such an amazing wave of positive things that can happen if we all just take your advice, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think what's really amazing is watching it happen at the assembly. Every assembly that I've been at with Gabe, and Steve's been at them too, the place, you just see the change in the kids. where they're like, wow, it only took me to go get one person I don't know to impact the whole school. And at schools that are small enough, Gabe will get the entire group, the whole school onto the floor. But, some of the schools are too big to do that, but it's so, so powerful. The power of one.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So you wrote a book,
Yep.
Gabe. So tell us about that. What's your book on? You, right?
Yeah.
Good topic.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So before this, Nothing's Out of Reach, this new topic I have is barely even a year old. I came up with an acronym for the word CLEAR. It stands for Courage, Leadership, Endurance, Attitude, and Respect. And that's what I talked about for a good 5 or 6 years. And the title of the book is My Message is Clear. And it just talks about those 5 characteristics that I have had to learn or I was taught and had to use them in my life in order to, be successful. Having courage to play basketball, how important it is to be a leader to other people and how important it is to have leaders in your life. Endurance is almost self-explanatory, just enduring all the things that you go to. Having a positive attitude that, those endurance and attitude, directly correlate. If you have a positive attitude, it's easier to endure. And then respect is just respecting each other, and most important, respecting yourself. How that you were, created to be who you are for a reason. You have too many kids going out and changing themselves because somebody tells them to, or they want to fit in. But it's, I'm a prime example of not doing that. My parents gave me that choice to have surgery and become taller, but I believe I was created to be this way, so I want to respect that. And so those are the 5 things that I talk about in my book, and just how I've been able to use those to grow and be successful in the 27 years I've been living, and planning on writing another one here in next year and a half or so. So trying to get started on that. But
Nice.
That's awesome.
And you're engaged.
yes, I am.
You are. So you're happy. You're
Yeah.
doing well.
Yeah, we're getting married in 4 months.
Wow.
So September 23rd is our big day.
And how did you meet?
We actually met at a conference I was speaking at. It was a church conference over in Redmond, and her mom attended. And I like to tell people she just couldn't leave me alone because of my good looks. But
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure it's true.
yeah, no. But no, we kept talking, and she lived in Alaska while I lived up here, and so we weren't able to hang out with each other. And so about 6 months after us texting, I said, hey, I'm not really interested in dating your phone anymore. And so let's go to a Mariners game and, meet or, hang out. And so it's been fun. We've been dating for 4 years now. And so it's been really fun. It's one of those things where I wanted to get married really badly, and I wanted to start a family. But, after I graduated from college, I wasn't sure if that was going to happen. And now it is. So it's the coolest, greatest thing I get to do. So I'm super excited.
Oh, we're so happy for you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. We're going to have information on Gabe's Foundation posted on our website so people can go there and give and help support you guys and what you guys are doing. So thank you so much for tuning in to Financial Fitness Northwest. When we come back, we're going to have the Riley Johnson Team Market Update. Today we're discussing renting versus owning in our current market.